Hey guys, my name is Charlie, and in this video, I'm going to be covering some ways to spice up your program drum tracks, today focusing on the hi-hat. So the hi-hat, I think, often goes underappreciated in certain genres of rock and metal because it doesn't quite give the same impact that maybe a large crash cymbal or a China cymbal might give during a heavy breakdown, for instance. However, when it comes to drum programming, with the exception of the snare, I find the hi-hat is probably the best place that you can go to add some human flair and believability. So unlike most other parts of the drum kit, when it comes to drum programming, the most important thing I find with getting believable hi-hats is using all of the articulations that are available to you. At a minimum, your library is going to have open, closed, and pedal. This library that I'm using, which is Get Good Drums Modern Massive, as you can see, has loads of hi-hat articulations, which makes it great for programming them realistically. So even just there, we got A sharp 1, A sharp 2, just two different variations of the hat being open. And then we got two more there, which we're not going to use for today. We're just going to focus on these two, plus the pedal and the closed. So I'm just going to mute the guitars here, and you can see we've got slow, wide open hi-hats here. So what we're going to do here is we're just going to put in pedal hi-hats on every other beat. We'll see how that sounds. So as you can hear, when the pedal is played, of course, the drummer is closing the hi-hat, which closes the open hi-hat sound. So that's why it's sort of choking. Which isn't really what I want on this part, because I want it to sound quite wide open, because with the guitars, it sounds kind of weird. So what we're going to do is we're going to move those down to the closed hi-hat articulation. So on this one, the drummer is closing the pedal, but he's playing it with his hand rather than just letting the pedal make the noise. So that sounds okay, but it's still not quite what I want. So I'm going to try using the second articulation of the open hi-hat, which with this mapping is up here on A sharp 2. And you can hear it is more choked than the one here on A sharp 1. It doesn't have quite as long of a decay. Just have a listen. We're going to say that when the snare is being played, the drummer is going to hit his hi-hat harder or wider. And on the offbeat, he's going to hit the hi-hat not quite as hard, and we're going to lower the velocities appropriately. So let's try this. So as it is, even though we're using different articulations, that does still sound quite robotic, I think. It's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the hi-hat, which doesn't quite sound right. So we're gonna lower the velocities. So that sounds better, but I think we need to actually bring down the velocities of these hi-hats here that are in between the beats, in between the snare beats, so that the accent is firmly on the snare. Let's actually bring those up a little bit. Yeah, I'm happy with that. So one other thing that we can do, we're going to have a play around with closed hi-hats, playing sort of fast little groovy bits, which you can't really do at the same time as having these ghost notes. So we're going to use this bit here that I haven't added any ghost notes to. It's exactly the same groove, but there's just no ghost notes. So it means we have more of an opportunity to play around with the hi-hat. So you can see how this gives a completely different feel to the section before it. Although I am going to use the closed hi-hat articulation before that, leading into it. So it'll sound like this here. So that way the open hat is being used as a break from the norm, which in this part here is the closed hi-hat. And then if we want to get even more complicated, we can almost add a bit of a drum fill here on the hi-hat that leads into the drum fill on the toms. And of course the flam on the snare. So what we're going to do is we're going to have him play 8 fast 16th notes on the first half of this bar. So at the end of this run of 16th notes, he then is not going to be able to play the snare and the hi-hat at exactly the same time, because if he's doing a roll, he can't then have both hands available. So if we think about the drummer playing this alternating right and left hands, we got right, left, right, left, right, left, right, left. Then he goes to right hand on the snare, left hand on the hi-hat, and then he has his right hand available to do this drum fill on the toms. Before I adjust the velocities, let's have a listen to that. So that's the kind of thing I want, but that definitely sounds a little bit robotic. So what we're going to do is we're going to find another articulation that sounds similar but isn't exactly the same. Okay, so we got F sharp 2. There we go. So this is what I mean when I say that hi-hat articulations are everything. Let's have a listen to this now. So before I even adjust the velocities, that sounds so much better. So now we'll just pull down the velocities and we'll have a listen to the whole thing. So anyway, that does bring us to the end of this video. Be sure to check out the Brickwall Sounds website, Facebook, and Instagram. Let us know what you think in the comments, and we will see you soon.